I was sitting alone in my apartment after another 12-hour shift at the engineering firm when my phone buzzed. The family group chat lit up with a message from Dad. "Don't call us. Don't visit. You're cut off." My heart stopped. Then I saw it. Harper, my sister, had liked the message and added a laughing emoji. 32 years of being the family disappointment flashed before my eyes. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. I typed, "Perfect. I'll cancel the auto payments first thing tomorrow." I hit send. 3 minutes of silence. Then my phone exploded. The calls started immediately. My screen lit up with Dad's name, then Mom's, then Harper's, over and over. I sat there watching the notifications pile up like some kind of digital avalanche. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else. Maybe it was relief. Maybe it was rage. I honestly couldn't tell anymore. Dad's first call went straight to voicemail. I listened to it later. His voice was shaking, not with emotion, but with something that sounded like panic. "Addison, what the hell do you mean by that? Call me back right now. We need to talk about this." Mom's text came next. "Honey, please don't be rash, we can talk about this." No punctuation. That's how I knew she was actually worried. Harper called 3 times in a row. I watched her name flash on my screen, declining each one. On the 4th call, I answered. "What do you think you're doing?" Her voice was sharp, angry. No greeting, no pretense. "I'm doing exactly what Dad said. I'm cutting contact. You can't just cut Mom and Dad off. That's not how this works." I took a deep breath. For 5 years, I'd been swallowing words. Not anymore. "Harper, do you know what I've been paying for them?" Silence on the other end. Their mortgage. $2,400 every single month. Both their car payments. That's another $800. Their health insurance premiums, $600 a month. Property taxes. Utilities. "Do you want me to keep going?" More silence. I could hear her breathing. "You didn't know that, did you?" I asked. "Well, they raised you. It's the least you can do. I also paid for your wedding, Harper. All $28,000 of it. Every cent. You told everyone it was Dad who paid for it. You stood up at the reception and thanked him for his generosity. Remember that?" I heard her breath catch. "That's different." "How is it different?" Because they needed help, Addison. And you have a good job. You can afford it. I could afford it when I thought it was temporary, when I thought they were struggling. But it's been 5 years, Harper. 5 years of them criticizing everything about me while I paid for their entire lifestyle. My apartment isn't nice enough. My car is too old. I'm not married. I don't visit enough. Nothing I do is ever good enough. But my money is always welcome. You're being dramatic. Am I? Dad just told me to never call them again. You liked that message. You laughed at it. So I'm giving you what you want." She sputtered something I couldn't make out. Then the line went dead. She'd hung up on me. The group chat exploded after that. Dad sent a long message about how ungrateful I was after everything they'd sacrificed. Mom sent shorter messages, gentler but still manipulative. "You're breaking my heart. Your father can't sleep. Please don't do this to us." I noticed Harper had deleted her thumbs-up reaction on Dad's original message. She was already trying to cover her tracks. I set my phone down and walked to my window. My apartment overlooked a parking lot. Nothing special. But it was mine. I'd paid for it myself. I'd paid for everything myself. And I'd paid for their everything too. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. "You want to play hardball? Fine. We're coming over tomorrow to settle this face to face." I should have been scared. Instead, I felt nothing but a strange kind of calm. Let them come. For the first time in years, I wasn't going to back down. My doorbell rang at 7 in the morning. 3 hours earlier than Dad had threatened. I'd barely slept, running through conversations in my head, trying to prepare for whatever was coming. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I opened that door. Dad stood there in his expensive jacket, the one I'd helped him buy last Christmas. But he wasn't alone. Mom was there, Harper, her husband Troy, and two more people I hadn't expected. Aunt Patricia and Uncle Gerald. "What is this?" I asked. They pushed past me without invitation. All six of them, filing into my small living room like some kind of intervention parade. Aunt Patricia started before I could even close the door. "Addison, your father called us crying last night. Crying. How could you abandon your family like this?" I looked at Dad. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "What did you tell them?" "The truth," he said. "Really? Because I'm guessing your version and my version are pretty different." Uncle Gerald stepped forward. He was a big man, used to being intimidating. "Your father told us you're trying to extort them, that you gave them some loans they never agreed to, and now you're demanding payment. That's not the nephew I know, Addison. That's not how we raised you." "Loans?" I turned to Dad. "You told them these were loans." Dad shrugged. "What would you call them?" "I'd call them exactly what you called them when you asked for help. You said you needed temporary assistance after your layoff. You said 6 months, tops. That was 5 years ago, Dad." Mom started crying on cue. Patricia put an arm around her. "Look what you're doing to your mother." Harper stood with her arms crossed, a smirk barely hidden on her face. Troy looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot, but he stayed silent. "Let me show you something," I said, walking to my laptop on the kitchen counter. I opened my banking app, pulled up the transaction history. These are the payments I've been making. Every single month. For 5 years. Uncle Gerald waved his hand dismissively. "Your father told us about his health problems. He's struggling to make ends meet. Of course you helped him. That's what family does." "Health problems?" "He retired with a full pension at 58. He's not sick. He's not struggling. He's living comfortably on my money, while telling everyone I'm the failure." Dad's face turned red. In one swift motion, he knocked my laptop off the counter. It hit the floor hard, the screen cracking with a sound like breaking ice. Everyone froze. "See?" Uncle Gerald said, pointing at me. "You're making your own father violent. This is your fault, Addison. This whole situation is because you can't just be grateful for what your parents gave you." My hands were shaking. Not with fear, with pure rage. "Get out. We're not leaving until you fix this mess you created," Patricia said, her voice cold. "I'll call the police." Mom gasped, like I'd threatened to shoot someone. "Your own mother? You'd have your mother arrested?" "If she doesn't leave my apartment when I ask her to, yes." That got them moving. Slowly, reluctantly, they filed back toward the door. Dad was last. He stopped in the doorway, turned back to look at me. "You've just made the biggest mistake of your life," he said quietly. The door closed behind them. I stood in my empty apartment, looking at my broken laptop on the floor, wondering what I'd just started. My phone buzzed. "Aunt Patricia, your mother is on blood pressure medication because of the stress you're causing. If something happens to her, it's on your conscience." I sat down on my couch and put my head in my hands. They'd come prepared with backup and lies. They'd already poisoned the well with the extended family. I was the villain in their story, and they'd made sure everyone believed it before I even had a chance to defend myself. That afternoon, my phone rang. My boss's name on the screen. Raymond never called me directly. Never. "Addison, can you come to my office?" My stomach dropped. "Is everything okay? Just come to my office, please." I grabbed my keys with shaking hands. Raymond's office was on the 3rd floor, glass walls looking out over the engineering bay. I could see my coworkers at their desks as I walked past. Jenna, who sat 2 cubicles over, looked up and gave me a concerned smile. Everyone could see me going into the boss's office. In a place like this, that meant something. Raymond was sitting behind his desk when I walked in. He looked uncomfortable, which was never a good sign. He was usually so confident, so in control. "Close the door and sit down," he said. I did. "We got a phone call this morning, on the main company line. Someone asking to speak to whoever was in charge of you." My blood went cold. My father. Raymond nodded. He told our receptionist that you're going through a mental health crisis, that you've been making dangerous threats toward family members. He said you've been financially unstable, and he's worried about your judgment and decision-making. He asked if we had an employee assistance program and suggested you needed immediate intervention. I closed my eyes. Raymond, I can explain. I'm listening. So I told him everything. The payments, the years of criticism, the text message, the broken laptop, the ambush this morning. All of it came spilling out in a humiliating rush. I was explaining my family drama to my boss, the one person who was supposed to see me as professional and capable. Raymond listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. I believe you, he said. For what it's worth, I believe you. You've worked here for 6 years. You've never given me a reason to question your judgment. But HR requires documentation of incidents like this. It's going on record that we received this call. I understand. Addison, I need you to understand something else. If they keep calling here, if they show up at the building, we'll have to take it seriously. The company can't be involved in family drama. It's a liability issue. They won't call again, I said, hoping it was true. Good. Take the rest of the day. Clear your head. Come back tomorrow, ready to focus on work. I nodded and left his office. The walk back through the engineering bay felt like a walk of shame. Everyone was pretending not to watch, but I could feel their eyes. Jenna caught me at my desk. Everything okay? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Harper. I stepped outside to take it. The parking lot was hot, the afternoon sun beating down on the asphalt. What do you want, Harper? Dad had a panic attack. Her voice was thick with tears. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. He's in the emergency room. Mom says it's because of what you did. The guilt hit me like a punch. Even knowing it was manipulation, even seeing it for what it was, I felt it. Years of conditioning don't disappear in a day. Which hospital? City General. Are you coming? I'll be there in 20 minutes. I got in my car and drove, cursing myself the whole way. This was exactly what they wanted. They'd made one phone call to my workplace, one fake medical emergency, and here I was, running back to them. City General's emergency room was busy. I checked in at the desk, gave Dad's name, and was directed to a bay in the back. I pulled the curtain aside. Dad was sitting up in the bed, looking perfectly fine, eating a sandwich from a plastic wrapper. Mom and Harper were there, sitting in chairs against the wall. All three of their faces lit up when they saw me. See? Mom said, standing up. He does care. He came. Dad set down his sandwich. The chest pains stopped as soon as I saw you walk in. Must have been stress-induced. That's what the doctor said. Harper had her phone out, angled toward me. She was recording. I understood immediately. This was all for show. The emergency room visit, the reconciliation attempt, Harper filming it. They were creating evidence. Evidence that I'd caused Dad's chest pains. Evidence that I'd come running back. Evidence that could be used against me later. I just wanted to make sure you were actually okay. I said carefully. I will be okay, Dad said, his voice taking on that familiar manipulative tone. Once we work this out. Once you agree to keep helping us. That's all my heart needs, son. Just knowing my family is whole again. I'm not agreeing to anything. I came to make sure you weren't dying. You're clearly fine. Dad's face changed. The warmth vanished. Not fine. The chest pains are coming back. Nurse. Nurse, I need help. A nurse pulled back the curtain. She looked at Dad, then at me, her expression hardening. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside. You're upsetting the patient. I didn't do anything. Please step outside. I left. Mom followed me out into the hallway. Just say you'll keep paying, she whispered. That's all he needs to hear. His heart can't take this stress, Addison. Do you want your father to die? His heart is fine, Mom. This is manipulation. How dare you? Your father is lying in a hospital bed because he chose to lie there. Because this is all a performance. She slapped me. Not hard, but loud enough that people in the hallway turned to look. Her eyes were wide, shocked at her own action, or pretending to be shocked. I didn't know anymore. I turned and walked out of the emergency room without another word. Let them have their evidence. Let them have their performance. I was done playing my part. I drove home in a daze. My face still stung where she'd hit me. When I pulled into my parking lot, my phone rang again. My landlord, Mr. Burton, Addison. We need to talk about a disturbance complaint. I closed my eyes. Of course. Of course they'd gone there too. What happened? Your parents showed up at the building after you left this morning. They were banging on your door for over an hour. Some of your neighbors complained. They were telling people their mentally ill son had locked them out, and they were worried for your safety. Mr. Burton, I swear to you, I'm not mentally ill. This is a family dispute about money. I don't want to get involved in family stuff, Addison. You're a good tenant, but we can't have disturbances. This is a quiet building. If it happens again, we'll have to discuss your lease. It won't happen again. I hope not. He hung up. I sat in my car, engine off, watching the sun set behind the apartment building. They were destroying everything. My job, my home, my reputation. Systematically, methodically, like they'd planned it. When I finally went inside, there was a note taped to my door. Your parents seemed really worried about you. Maybe you should call them? It was signed by Mrs. Chen from across the hall. Wait, I can't use Chen. It was signed by Mrs. Patterson from across the hall. I crumpled the note and threw it away. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Harper's smirk, heard Dad's threats, felt Mom's slap. At 2 a.m, I gave up and opened my laptop. The screen was cracked but still functional. I needed to do what I'd threatened. Cancel the auto payments. I logged into my bank account and navigated to the automatic transfers. There were 6 of them. Mortgage, 2 car payments, insurance, utilities, and a monthly deposit into what was supposed to be a shared emergency account. I'd set it up years ago, so they'd have access if they needed it. I'd been putting $500 into it every month. I clicked on the emergency account. My hands froze on the keyboard. Balance: $0 and 0 cents. Last transaction. Withdrawal: $12,347. Yesterday. The same day Dad had sent that text cutting me off. He'd emptied it, taken every cent. Not just the most recent deposits, but everything that had accumulated over the years. Money I'd put in thinking it was for emergencies. For them, for us. He'd planned this. The cutting me off, the taking the money, all of it. He'd struck first to justify the theft, to make it look like he was the one ending things, not me. I called the bank's 24-hour hotline. The representative was patient as I explained the situation. Was the other party authorized on the account? She asked. Yes, but only for emergencies. If they were authorized, then legally they could withdraw the funds. I'm sorry, sir. There's nothing we can flag as fraudulent. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen. $12,000. Gone. That was my actual emergency fund. The money I'd been saving to buy a house someday, to have a future. Gone in one transaction. My phone buzzed. I almost didn't look. But I did. It was Facebook. Harper had posted a status. Sometimes the people you sacrifice everything for turn their backs on you when you need them most. Praying for family healing. There were already 53 comments. I scrolled through them. Aunt Patricia. Standing with you and your parents during this difficult time. Some people forget where they came from. Relatives I barely knew were commenting support. High school friends were asking if everything was okay. Someone had tagged me in the post. My name was right there. Visible to everyone, even though Harper hadn't mentioned me directly. I clicked on Harper's profile. She'd changed her profile picture. It was an old family photo from 10 years ago. Dad, Mom, Harper, and me. Except I'd been cropped out. Literally cut from the image. leaving a weird empty space where I'd been standing. Dad had posted too. Heartbroken tonight. When your child turns on you, it cuts deeper than any wound. But a father's love is unconditional. 214 likes. Hundreds of comments offering him support, prayers, understanding. I was being erased and vilified simultaneously. They were controlling the narrative on every platform, to every person we knew. My phone rang. Brett, my best friend from college. Please tell me you're okay, he said. How did you hear about this? Troy called me. Harper's husband. He said you're going through something, and I should check on you. He made it sound like you were having a breakdown. Brett, I'm not having a breakdown. My family is insane, I figured. I've met your dad, remember? But Troy sounded really concerned. What's going on? I told him everything. Again. The third time I'd explained it in 24 hours. Each time made it feel less real and more surreal. Man, your family is playing dirty, Brett said when I finished. You need to protect yourself legally. Start documenting everything. Documenting what? They've been careful. Nothing's in writing, except my bank records showing I voluntarily sent them money for years. Then, create a record. Write down every interaction, every phone call, every conversation, every threat, dates, times, witnesses if there were any. Build your own evidence. They already have evidence against me. The police wellness check, the ER visit, my boss knowing, the whole family thinking I'm the bad guy. Then you need more evidence than they have. Look, I believe you. Anyone who really knows you will believe you. But for everyone else, for any legal situation that might come up, you need documentation. After we hung up, I opened a new document on my laptop and started writing. Everything I could remember from the past 2 days. The text message, the auto payments, the ambush at my apartment, the broken laptop, the call to my work, the fake ER visit, the stolen money. All of it, time-stamped as accurately as I could recall. At 2:15 in the morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Is this Addison Parker? A professional voice. Official. Yes. This is Officer Rodriguez with the city police. We received a wellness check request for your address. We're outside your building now. Can you let us in? My heart stopped. A wellness check? Why? Your parents filed a report saying you made concerning statements about harming yourself. We need to verify you're safe. It's procedure. I buzzed them in. 2 officers came up to my apartment. They were polite, almost apologetic, but they had to follow protocol. They asked to come inside, to look around, to ask me questions about my mental state. I answered everything calmly. Showed them I was fine. Explained, yet again, that this was a family dispute about money. Officer Rodriguez gave me his card as they were leaving. This happens sometimes in family disputes, he said quietly. People use the system as a weapon. If they file false reports repeatedly, you can pursue harassment charges. But for now, document everything. Write down what happened tonight. Time, date, our badge numbers. Build a record. After they left, I looked out my window. Lights were on in apartments across the way. People had heard the police knocking. Mr. Burton probably knew already. More gossip for the building. I sat down and added the police visit to my document. The list of incidents was growing, but so was the evidence against me. Every defensive move I made seemed to create more ammunition for them to use. At 6 in the morning, as the sun was starting to rise, I made a decision. I got dressed, got in my car, and drove to my parents' house. I banged on their door, the same way they'd banged on mine. Loud, insistent, not caring what the neighbors thought. Dad opened the door in silk pajamas. Expensive silk pajamas that my money had bought. His hair was messy, face confused. What are you doing here? I pushed past him into the house. Mom came down the stairs in her robe. Harper appeared from the kitchen, mug of coffee in her hand. She'd been staying with them. Of course she had. You want to know what I'm doing here? I'm done playing defense. I found something interesting last night, while I was documenting everything for the police. Police? Mum's face went pale. Yeah, the police you sent to my apartment at 2 in the morning with a fake wellness check. That police. While I was documenting that incident, I went through my old emails from 5 years ago. When this all started, I pulled out my phone, opened my email app. Here's one from you, Dad. Subject line: temporary help. Quote, just temporary help until we get back on our feet after my layoff. 6 months tops, then we'll pay you back. End quote. Dad's face didn't change. So I looked up the local news from that time. You weren't laid off. You retired. Early retirement with full pension at age 58. You lied to me from the beginning. Harper set down her coffee. Does it matter? You have the money to help. They needed help. What's the difference? The difference is, it wasn't temporary. The difference is, they weren't struggling. The difference is, I've been funding their early retirement for 5 years while they convinced me I owed them. I pulled up another email thread. Here's a fun one. This is from 3 years ago. You accidentally included me on this thread, Harper. You wrote to Mom. Do you think Addison will keep paying? He's such a sucker. And Mom wrote back. As long as we keep telling him it's temporary and how proud we are that he's helping, he'll keep sending money. He just wants our approval. The silence in the house was deafening. Harper spoke first. You went through private emails? They weren't private when you included me in the thread. And here's my favorite part. You wrote, good. I need him to pay for my wedding. Troy's family won't cover it. That was 3 years before your wedding, Harper. You planned to use me 3 years in advance. Dad recovered his composure first. So what? We're family. Family helps each other. We gave you life. We raised you. That's worth more than money, Addison. Worth more than $140,000? Because that's what I calculated last night. That's how much I've given you over 5 years. Mom's hand went to her chest. We deserve a comfortable retirement. You have your whole career ahead of you. You can make more money. Harper walked closer to me. There was something cold in her eyes, something I'd never seen before. Or maybe I'd just never let myself see it. You finally figured it out, she said. Took you long enough. Figured what out? That we used you. That we've been using you. Is that what you want to hear? Fine. Yes, Addison, we used you. You were desperate for Dad to think you were successful. Desperate for approval. We just gave you what you wanted, a purpose. Someone to impress. We did you a favor, really. The cruelty in her voice broke something in me. This was my sister. My little sister who I'd protected on the playground, helped with homework, supported through her divorce before Troy. And she was standing here telling me using me was a favor. You know what's funny? Dad said, walking closer. You can't prove we did anything illegal. You gave us access to that account. The payments were voluntary. You'll look like a vindictive son trying to destroy his family over money. What kind of person does that? Mom joined in. And we have documentation now of your mental health crisis. The police report from tonight. The emergency room visit. Your boss knows you're unstable. Who do you think people will believe? Us, your loving parents who are worried about you? Or you, who's clearly having some kind of breakdown? Dad smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to resume the payments. All of them. You're going to post a public apology on social media for this smear campaign you've been running. You're going to tell everyone that you misunderstood the situation, that you were stressed from work, that your family has been nothing but supportive, and will graciously forgive you. And if I don't? Harper answered. We have friends who are lawyers. Real lawyers. Not like the ambulance chasers you probably think you can afford. We'll sue you for emotional distress. We'll file restraining orders. We'll tell everyone you were abusive. Every future employer who Googles your name will see it. Every woman you try to date will hear about it. Everyone in your life will know what kind of person you really are. Dad nodded. Fighting us will cost you more than just paying us. Legal fees, reputation damage, the stress. You're a smart guy, Addison. Do the math. Is it really worth it? I looked at the three of them. My family. The people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. They were offering me a deal with the devil. Return to being their ATM. Let them control me forever, or lose everything. I turned and walked toward the door. Think about it, Dad called after me. You have 24 hours. After that, the lawsuit gets filed. I drove home in a fog. My phone rang 6 times. I didn't answer. When I got back to my apartment, I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. They'd backed me into a corner. Every piece of evidence I had would make me look petty at best, crazy at worst. Every piece of evidence they had made them look like victims. I'd never felt so alone in my life. My phone rang again. Brett's name. I answered. Dude, you need to check your email right now. Remember Troy? Harper's husband? He just sent you something. I opened my laptop, pulled up my email. There it was. New message from Troy Parker. Subject line. I'm sorry. You need to see this. My hand was shaking as I clicked it open. The email was short. Addison, I can't do this anymore. I've been watching Harper become someone I don't recognize. Your family is toxic, and I can't be part of it. I'm filing for divorce. I can't let this continue. These recordings were on Harper's phone. She recorded everything to protect herself if you tried to fight back legally. She doesn't know I copied them. Use them however you need. You deserved better. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you when they ambushed you at your apartment. I was a coward. Troy. There were 5 audio files attached. I downloaded the first one and pressed play. Static, then voices. Dad's voice, clear and unmistakable. He thinks he's so smart with his engineer job. Let's see how smart he feels when we're done with him. Harper's laugh. I can't believe he actually thought we'd just let him stop paying. What an idiot. Mom's voice, quieter. Do you think the family will believe us? Dad. They already do. I called Patricia and Gerald as soon as I got his text. Told them he was trying to extort us. They bought it completely. The recording went on. They were in my parents' living room, right after I'd sent my text about canceling payments, planning their counterattack, like it was a military operation. The second file was worse. Harper coaching Dad on what to say to my employer. Harper, tell them he's having a mental health crisis. Use those exact words. Mental health crisis. It sounds serious, but not specific enough that they can verify it. Then suggest their employee assistance program. It makes you sound concerned, not vindictive. Dad. What if they ask questions? Harper. They won't. Our people are trained not to engage with family members. They'll just document the call and talk to Addison. But the damage will be done. There'll be a record. The third file was them planning the emergency room visit. Dad. How long do I need to stay? Mom. Until he shows up. If he doesn't come, we wait 30 minutes and leave. But he'll come. He always comes. Harper. I'll record him when he gets there. Get footage of him in the ER, looking concerned. We can use it to show he was involved, that he acknowledged Dad's health problems. The fourth file was shorter. Mom and Harper discussing the wellness check. Harper. Just say he made statements about self-harm. You don't have to be specific. The police are required to do a wellness check based on any report. Mom. Won't he be angry? Harper. Good. Let him be angry. Angry people make mistakes. The more upset he gets, the better he looks. The fifth file was from this morning. After I'd left their house, I could hear dishes clinking. They were having breakfast. Harper. He looked so pathetic standing there. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Dad. He'll come crawling back. They always do. Give him a few days to realize he has no options. Mom. What if he doesn't? What if he really does try to fight us? Dad. Then we bury him. We have the resources, the reputation, the family support. He has nothing. Nothing that matters anyway. Harper. He has his pride. That's all he's ever had. Daddy's approval was never going to happen, but he kept trying anyway. It's kind of sad when you think about it. Dad, don't waste your sympathy. He made his choice. The recording ended. I sat there, staring at my laptop screen, listening to my family casually discuss, destroying me like I was some kind of business problem to solve. Not their son, not their brother. Just an obstacle. I called Brett back. "Did you listen to them?" he asked. "All 5. This is it, man. This is everything you need. This proves conspiracy, harassment, fraud if you want to push it. They recorded themselves planning all of it. You need a lawyer. I don't want a legal war, Brett. I just want them to leave me alone. Then use it as leverage. Mutually assured destruction. You release these recordings. Their reputation in the family is done. Everyone will hear exactly what they think of them. Patricia, Gerald, all the people they've been manipulating. They'll be finished. That feels vindictive. Addison, they were going to sue you. They were going to destroy your reputation, your career, your entire life. This isn't vindictive. This is self-defense." He was right. I knew he was right. I spent the next hour crafting an email. I attached all 5 recordings. I wrote, "I have these, and more." Troy gave me everything before he left Harper. "Here's my offer, and it's non-negotiable. You leave me alone. Completely. No contact. No attempts to reach me through other people. No posts about me on social media. You tell everyone the truth, that you took advantage of my generosity and that any conflict was your fault. You accept responsibility for your own finances going forward. If you agree to these terms, the recordings stay private. If you don't, I send them to everyone. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Gerald, every family member who believed your lies, every friend from your church, your neighbors. Everyone will hear what you really think of them and how you manipulated them. You have 24 hours to respond." I marked it high priority and sent it to all 3 of them. Dad, Mom, Harper. Then I waited. The next 23 hours were the longest of my life. I went to work, came home, tried to eat, couldn't sleep. My phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts, no email responses. At hour 23 and 45 minutes, my phone rang. "Dad." I answered. "What do you want us to say?" His voice was different, defeated, flat. "The truth. That you took advantage of me. That you lied about needing help. That I don't owe you anything. That this whole situation was your creation, not mine." Silence on the other end. I could hear him breathing. "If we do this, you delete the recordings? I keep them as insurance. But they stay private as long as you stay gone from my life." More silence. "Fine. And the money you took from the account?" "The $12,000. "What money?" But his voice had no conviction. "I have bank records, Dad. Every transaction. Return the $12,000, or the recordings go public." A long pause. "It'll take time to get that much. You have 2 weeks. Electronic transfer back to my account. If it's not there in 14 days, everyone hears those recordings." "You've become cruel, Addison." "No, I've become honest. There's a difference." I hung up. 2 days later, Dad posted on Facebook. "After much reflection and prayer, I need to acknowledge that our family conflict was due to my own choices. Addison has been more than generous over the years, and I took advantage of that generosity. Any tension between us is my fault, not his. I ask for his forgiveness and understanding as we move forward." The post had 17 comments. Most were confused. A few were supportive. Aunt Patricia commented, "Families are complicated. Glad you're working it out." Harper deleted all her posts about family healing. No new posts appeared. The silence from her was almost as loud as the posts had been. Mom sent one text. "I'm sorry." Just those 2 words. Nothing else. 14 days after our conversation, $12,347 appeared in my bank account. Electronic transfer from my father's account. The exact amount he'd taken, down to the cent. I logged into my banking app and canceled all the automatic payments, every single one. Mortgage, car payments, insurance, utilities, the works. All of them, gone. For the first time in 5 years, my money was mine again. A week after that, I got a text from Troy. Just wanted you to know the divorce is moving forward. Harper showed her true colors when I filed. Tried to take me for everything. Your family's pattern is becoming very clear. I hope you're doing better. You deserved none of what they put you through. I texted back. Thank you for the recordings. You saved my life. His response. You would have done the same for me. That's the difference between you and them. 6 months passed before I saw any of them again. 6 months of blessed silence. No calls, no texts, no social media posts. They'd vanished from my life completely, and the empty space they left behind filled slowly with something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My phone buzzed one Tuesday afternoon. A text from Uncle Gerald. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. When and where? We met at a coffee shop downtown. Gerald looked older than I remembered. Tired. He ordered black coffee and sat down across from me in a booth by the window. Your father called me a few months ago, he said without preamble. Told me the truth. Well, his version of it. But I did some digging. Talked to Troy before he moved to Colorado. I wrapped my hands around my own coffee cup. And I owe you an apology, a real one, for ambushing you in your apartment, for believing their version without asking for yours, for being part of the problem. You didn't know. I should have known. I've known your father my whole life, Addison. He's my brother. I've seen him do this before, just never this bad. Gerald looked out the window. Did you know he pulled something similar with my daughter? Your cousin Emma? Years ago. He borrowed $8,000 from her for a, quote, investment opportunity. Never paid it back. We swept it under the rug for family peace. I told Emma to let it go. I was wrong then, too. I didn't know that, because we don't talk about it. That's what families do, right? Protect the peace. Protect the image. Even when the protection enables the wrong people. He looked back at me. Patricia and I talked about it. About how we let you walk into that ambush. How we believed lies without question. We're both sorry. Thank you for saying that. Your father won't change. You know that, right? He's almost 65 now. People like him don't change. They just find new targets. I know, but you did change. You set boundaries. That takes real courage. He slid a folded piece of paper across the table. That's Patricia's, and my contact information. Not for family drama. Just if you ever want to have coffee with people who actually give a damn about you. After Gerald left, I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, watching people walk by outside. Families with kids, couples holding hands. Strangers living their lives, carrying their own complicated stories. Work had gotten better. Raymond never mentioned the phone call again. My broken laptop had been replaced by the company after I explained what happened. Jenna, the coworker who'd asked if I was okay, had become a real friend. We'd gotten coffee a few times. Then, dinner. Now we were officially dating, taking it slow, building something real. Mr. Burton, my landlord, stopped me in the hallway one morning. Haven't seen your parents around in a while. You won't, I said. He nodded. Good for you. Family's not always what it's supposed to be. The neighbor who'd left the note, Mrs. Patterson, apologized too. Your mother was very convincing. I should have talked to you first instead of leaving that note. Lesson learned. Brett threw me a small party when I signed the papers on my new house. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood, but it was mine. Bought with money I'd saved. Money that used to go to people who didn't appreciate it. You did it, man, Brett said, handing me a beer in my empty living room. You got out. Took me long enough. Most people never get out. They stay trapped forever, thinking they owe their abusers something. You chose yourself. That's huge. I started volunteering at a community center downtown. They had a program for young adults from difficult family situations. Kids aging out of foster care, people estranged from toxic families, anyone who needed support building a life independent from where they came from. I didn't share my whole story with them, but I shared enough. How to set boundaries, how to recognize manipulation, how to build a chosen family when your blood family fails you. One evening, a kid named Jason, maybe 19 years old, stayed after to talk to me. "How did you know when to leave?" he asked. "My mom keeps saying she'll change, that she needs just one more chance." "I can't tell you when to leave," I said. "That's your choice. But I can tell you this. People tell you who they are through their actions. If their actions keep hurting you, no matter what their words promise, believe the actions." "But she's my mom." "I know. Mine too. Doesn't mean you owe her your whole life." He nodded slowly. I saw myself in him. The guilt, the hope, the desperation for things to be different. 3 months ago, I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Marcus Sullivan. He specialized in family trauma and narcissistic abuse. The first session, I told him everything. "You survived a calculated exploitation," he said. "That you got out and protected yourself shows remarkable strength. Sometimes I feel stupid for not seeing it sooner. That's part of the manipulation. They condition you to doubt yourself, to think your needs are unreasonable, to believe you owe them your life in exchange for theirs. It's not stupidity, it's trauma." We talked about my parents, about Harper, about the years of trying to earn love that was never actually available. He helped me understand that my family likely never had the capacity to love me the way I needed. That Harper had been shaped by the same toxic values that shaped our parents. That none of it was my fault. "Will I ever stop feeling guilty?" I asked him. "The guilt may never completely disappear, but you'll learn to recognize it for what it is. Not truth, just conditioning. An old wound that flares up sometimes." He was right. The guilt came and went, but it got quieter over time. I posted on social media once, months after everything settled. Not an attack, not an explanation, just a simple statement. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. For anyone going through something similar, you're not alone, and you deserve better. The post got 37 likes. But more importantly, I got 23 private messages, people I'd gone to high school with, old coworkers, distant relatives, strangers who found the post through friends, all of them sharing their own stories of toxic families, of choosing themselves, of the guilt and grief that comes with it. I answered every single message. We created an informal support network, people who understood. 8 months after everything ended, I ran into Mom at the grocery store. She was in the produce section, examining apples. She looked older, tired. Her hair had more gray than I remembered. She saw me, froze. Her hand was still on an apple, suspended in midair. I could have walked away. Part of me wanted to. But another part, maybe the part that had been through therapy and healing, felt ready to face her. "Hello, Mom." She set down the apple. Her eyes were wet. "Addison, how are you?" "I'm good. Really good, actually." "I'm glad." Her voice cracked. "I wanted to call you so many times, but I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me. Probably for the best that you didn't." She nodded. "I'm sorry. I know I said that once before, but I don't think you believed me. I don't know if I believed myself, but I've had a lot of time to think. What we did to you was wrong. What I did to you was wrong. Yes, it was. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I know." We stood there in the grocery store, holding that moment. I could see genuine regret in her eyes. Maybe it was real. Maybe it would last. Maybe it wouldn't. But it didn't change anything for me. "I hope you're well, Mom. I really do. But I don't want to reconnect. I don't want to rebuild a relationship. I needed to protect myself, and that's still true." Tears ran down her face. She nodded. I understand. Take care of yourself, Addison. You too. She walked away, leaving her cart in the aisle. I watched her go, feeling nothing but a strange kind of calm. No anger, no guilt, just acceptance that some things can't be fixed, and that's okay. That evening, Jenna came over to my house. We cooked dinner together, nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. We ate on my back porch, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. You seem happy, she said. I am. Different from when we first started talking. I was in survival mode then. Everything was about just getting through the day. And now? Now, I'm actually living. Building something real. With people who actually want the best for me. She smiled and took my hand. I'm glad you stuck around. Me too. A year after the recordings, after the confrontation, after choosing myself over people who never valued me, I sat on that same porch alone. My phone was next to me, silent. It rang sometimes, but never with their numbers. They'd kept their promise. Complete silence, complete absence from my life. I thought about what Dr. Sullivan had said in our last session. You grieve the family you needed, not the family you had. That grief is real and valid. Let yourself feel it. I did grieve. I grieved the father who could have been proud of me for who I was, not what I could provide. I grieved the mother who could have protected me instead of enabling abuse. I grieved the sister who could have been an ally instead of an accomplice. I grieved the childhood I deserved and never got, but I also celebrated. I celebrated my freedom, my bank account that was finally mine, my home that no one could threaten, my job where I was respected, my chosen family of Brett, Jenna, Uncle Gerald, Aunt Patricia, the people from the community center, all the folks who showed up when blood relations disappeared. I learned that family isn't defined by shared DNA. It's defined by shared respect, mutual support, genuine love. I learned that the people who raised you don't automatically deserve your loyalty if they don't give you theirs. I learned that walking away from toxicity isn't giving up. It's choosing life. Some nights I still wondered what they were doing. If Dad ever felt genuine remorse. If Harper ever understood what she'd lost. If Mom's tears in the grocery store were real. But those thoughts came less frequently now. They were part of my past, not my present. My present was Sunday dinners with Brett and his wife. Date nights with Jenna that were turning into something serious and beautiful. Mentoring kids at the community center who needed to hear that they could survive their families. Buying furniture for my house. Planning a trip to Colorado to visit Troy, who'd become an unexpected friend through shared experience. My present was mine. The text message that started everything, Dad's cruel dismissal that I'd turned into my liberation, was still saved on my phone. I read it sometimes, not with pain but with gratitude. Don't call us. Don't visit. You're cut off. He'd meant it as punishment. I'd turned it into permission. Permission to stop trying. Permission to stop sacrificing. Permission to finally, after 32 years, put myself first. The approval I'd been chasing my whole life was never coming from them, so I learned to approve of myself. I looked at my life, at the person I'd become despite them, and I felt proud, genuinely proud. I was kind. I was generous. I was hardworking. These were the qualities they had exploited. But they weren't weaknesses. They were strengths. I just needed to give them to people who deserved them. Sitting on my porch that evening, watching stars appear in the darkening sky, I felt something I hadn't felt in the family home growing up. I felt like I belonged, in my own life, in my own story. This was my victory. Not revenge, not destruction. Just peace, just freedom, just a life built on my terms, with people who valued me for me. And that was worth more than any amount of their approval ever could have been. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to set boundaries with toxic family members? How did you know it was time to walk away? Share your story in the comments below. You're not alone in this. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with anyone who might need to hear that it's okay to choose yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some validation, or maybe just the reminder that you deserve better than people who treat you like a resource. Take care of yourself out there, and remember, your peace is worth protecting. Until next time.